Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
This live
Are you
talk.
ready?
Live
Are you
talk.
ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
All right, greetings and welcome to Live Talk. I am your host, Arthur Jeremiah, alongside my two co-hosts, Minister Samuel
Hey, welcome back again to Live Talk.
and spiritual ambassador, Yikat Zikia.
Peace, right?
All right, and before we go to anything, we're going to go to our general statement and disclaimer. General statement. Live Talk is proudly powered by TBS Goodwill, Builders of the Highway Foundation, and Men of Purpose. Together, we're bringing about awareness to the everyday challenges facing individuals, communities, and our nation. We tell our stories, listen to yours, and always respect different perspectives. Want to share your voice? Email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com to be a guest, or if you would like to contribute to our mission, purpose, go to livetalkorl.com to give a donation. Disclaimer. Information provided during this event and others to come does not constitute the official opinion of Live Talk or its affiliate entities. It is strongly recommended that viewers seek independent expert advice regarding any topics discussed, as legal requirements differ significantly across jurisdictions and are subject to frequent changes. If you have questions or concerns, you can always email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Facebook and or Instagram at Live Talk Orlando. All right, so happy Saturday, brothers. How are you doing? Minister, starting with you.
Doing great. Always wonderful to be here on a Saturday morning or early afternoon, making it a great day.
Yes, sir. And Brother Ike Ezekiel.
I'm doing great these days. One of the lightest days of the week for me. So,
Okay. I'm getting a little break. Your audio coming in a little choppy.
it's doing what?
It's coming in a little choppy.
Can you give us a quick mic check? Give us a quick mic check. Brother Ezekiel.
How's it coming in now?
Okay.
Seem to be better.
Yeah. Okay. All right, my brother. I just want to make sure that you're coming in clear, because we're going to be talking about some today. I want the listening audience to be able to hear. So anytime we have a little choppiness in the audio, I'll just let you know and just kind of come a little closer.
Yes,
But as for myself, I have truly enjoyed the week leading up to today. Of course, we had tax day all over again, October the 15th. And then a lot of clients was asking, hey, with the government shutdown, how this going to work out? I said, listen, them people got a system in place. That's why they want you to e-file. They don't really care about you sending nothing in and mailing it in. E-file, because their system is going to flag whatever need to flag. They're going to give it an alert. So when the examiner come along, he's going to be able to assess whatever penalty that may occur from you not filing on time. So make sure you file on time.
See, don't, because they shut down. They're not going to let you use that excuse that they were shut down.
Buddy, no, you better get it in immediately. And also, we have a trade show expo, a trade expo fair coming up. So I'm so excited about that, and that has been a huge part of our marketing and just promoting up to this point. We're going to talk more about that today as well. But other than that, I'm walking in blessings every day, and thankful for what the Most High has given me and what He has in store for me. All right. And so, family, I feel that you're feeling the same way, that you're doing well out there. We're just going to give you a rundown of the show today. First, we'll have the minister word of today. Right after that, we'll go to a short commercial break, and we'll come back with our main topic for today, which is Maleness versus Manhood, Redefining Masculinity in Today's World. And then we'll go to another commercial break. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our trade show event that's coming up. Just highlight some things there. So stay tuned to that as well. And then we'll end with a motivational quote from the host. So with no further ado, Minister, what is the word of today?
Word of today is going to be understanding. Understanding. And understanding is defined as the ability to understand something or comprehension. It is the power of abstract thought, intellect. Understanding is perception or judgment of a situation. Understanding is a mental grasp, the capacity for rational thought or discrimination, knowledge about a subject, or about how things work. And a few synonyms are intellect, reasoning, agreement, explanation, and grasp. And our quote based off understanding is, being a male is a matter of birth. Being a man is a matter of age. Being a real man is a matter of choice.
So we have a male, man, real man. I love that. We're going to get deep into this today. And my brother, thank you for the word of today, understanding. And we'll go to a quick commercial break and we right back.
What do all these people have in common besides a beautiful smile, healthy teeth, and gums? They all use Zadi toothpaste. Zadi toothpaste is made with all natural ingredients. Zadi toothpaste is fortified with moringa and baking soda. Zadi toothpaste is suds-free, making it an excellent choice for kids. All natural, fortified, and suds-free. Get yours today at noystore.com.
Last year, something amazing happened in Apaka. Students, job seekers, and industry professionals came together for the very first trade and vocational expo fair. It was more than just an event. It was a movement. From hands-on demos and inspiring speakers to great food, community connections, and career building opportunities. The energy was electric and the impact unforgettable. And now we're doing it again. Join us for the second annual Trade Expo Fair, Saturday, October 25th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The location, 1104 South Central Ave, Apaka, Florida. Register today at livetalkorl.com. We'll see you there. All right, is the camera set? You good? Okay. All right, so welcome back to the show, everyone. Today we're diving deep into a topic that hits home for many men, and honestly for women who love and support them too. There's a big difference between being male and walking in manhood and being a male biologically. So it's something that we were born into, but manhood is a little different than that. That's something that you grow into. As the minister was sharing in his word of the day, it's a journey of responsibility, integrity, strength, and love in a world where definitions of a real man is often distorted by culture, pride, and pressure. We're here to unpack what true manhood looks like spiritually, emotionally, and practically. So, with that being said, brothers, I just want to open up today discussion that's talking about identity and definition. And the first question I want to just kind of put out there is, in your own words, how do you define the difference between being a male and being a man? You want to take that, Ezekiel, first?
Yes, sir. A male is one that is dictated by his appetite and physical determinants. It's a mindset that's guided by instinct, urges, desires, or feelings with intense motivation of relief of those urges. It wants pleasure. That is its primary purpose for existing. And it's a dependent mentality because it wants somebody else to supply that pleasure. And it's like a baby. It wants what it wants now. Doesn't consider consequences. It only considers what it wants, and it'll deal with the consequences later. So it reacts first and it thinks second. So this puts it in an animalistic mentality because animals react. They have what is to them. As a man, on the other hand, he thinks first. And his reaction is in alignment with the value system that governs who he is. So when he does react, he knows he's reacting in a manner that was the best choice for him. A man has also urges, desires, and feelings, but he weighs that with what is best for him, not only in the here and now, but in the future. So he looks at the consequences. He's circumspect. He's extremely careful to consider all related options and negative consequences before he undertakes any type of endeavor. A man is one that has accountability. He has respectability. And more important, he has a responsibility, not only to himself, but to everybody that's within his scope of his circle. Therefore, anything he does, he has them in mind first. He wants to know how this move will affect them. If I go and gamble later away the rent money, how would that affect my house? How would that affect the relationship with everybody within my household? So he takes all those consequences into consideration before he makes a move. So the difference between a man and a male is selfish, only about himself. A man thinks outside of himself. Everybody is.
Okay. Now I heard a lot of what you said, and I got the gist of what you said. I want to make sure though, like with your audio, like you look, like if you come right there, like if you
How
was,
about now?
yes, I hear you. Yeah.
Okay. The gist of it was that fellas again operates on the realm of highest earth wants. A man operates what he needs. He's met, not only for himself, but everybody that's not codependent. He's going to go out and get it. This is where the responsibility comes in at.
Okay. Now back up a little. I mean, go back where you was, because I think I hear you better when you're back a little bit, right? Well, probably right. Come up with just a tad right there. All right. I mean, I'm pretty sure the audience heard what you said as well, because what you said was very powerful. Just to sum it up, you mentioned that a man thinks before he reacts, and a male just reacts, and you gave some great examples to that as well. So what you said was heard. So don't think it wasn't heard. It's just how the audio was coming in.
Correct.
So it was great points. I love that. Minister, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, he did a whole lot. I'm gonna kind of take it back to the beginning, just a little of it. When it comes to being a male, maleness is a biological thing. It's a biological function. It's a biological creation. Whereas man has to deal with mentality and the mind. Whereas a male is strictly a sexuality or a construct of a biological. But when you deal with a man, you move beyond the biological to the mental, the moral, the spiritual, And it's just much more than being biological.
Okay. No, that's that's great. And our brother laid it out perfectly. You just, came back and touched on it. And if I had to say something, I'll be saying something similar around what you're saying. It's just, when you think about a male, you think about the male reproductive system. A male may come out. I mean, a male will come out with, testes, prostate, a penis. So when we think about a male, we're thinking about that from a gender standpoint, opposed to a male. And I love both of your points and how you broke that down when it comes to a man. Now, next question here. Do you think society confuses masculinity with manhood? Why or why not?
Because in our society now, we see that the physical aspect plays more a role of raising the youth. You take the young male, and he's at a very early age put in a sports program to develop his physical abilities, whereas he lacks the manhood aspect of it in developing his mind. He's not on how to deal with it. He's not getting classes on fight. Classes that he needs that will develop his mind.
All right. You can think you're breaking up right now.
How about now?
All right, let's go from there. You're gonna break up.
Is it better here?
Yeah, try from right there.
Okay, so the male from a young age is put in force. He's taught to develop his physical characteristics to a high degree, as opposed to a man whose intellect is being developed to a high degree. Think about the young youth, they spend 4 or 5 hours a day learning how to play a sport. But how much time do they invest in their mental development? While society has placed a high premium on physical abilities and on the masculinity is more important. You look on the magazines, you're not seeing intellectuals being paraded around as the celebrities. You're seeing sports figures, you're seeing entertainers, people that develop in the physical aspect. So this is what the world is more appealing to.
And I'm pretty sure anybody listening can attest to that. Because alluding to what you're saying, when it comes to our youth in sports, we do focus a lot on sports, and we don't focus on the mental. And oftentimes, if I coach, Little League basketball and football, and what I would tell the youth a lot of times is, I wasn't big on, wins or loss. I was more focused on discipline and learning something and taking something in so that now you can become a better person, character. And one of the things I always shared with the youth was, yes, you're very athletic, especially if it's one that's athletic. You're very athletic. But what's going to get you to the next level is studying, becoming a student of what you're doing. But that deals with the mental, because a lot of times our children do lack the mental part of that. So just touching on that from that standpoint, and it's just not about sports, it's about life in general. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that if a parent is on listening, need to understand that. I always told my son that. And that's why I told him, I said, you become a part of the leadership club, become a leader. Because that's dealing with your mental. And you have to know how to lead, especially in this society, because so many youth are being led by the wrong information, that is putting our youth in a bad situation. And that's probably one of the reasons why we talk about the Trade Expo show, but I ain't gonna go into that right now. Minister, you want to go ahead and chime in on that?
Yeah, no, y'all make a great point, and I had a list of these. I'm gonna try to be quick, but like when we talking about that, so what society has done is it actually profits off our ignorance, and it's one of the reasons we struggle is because we get pushed certain images, and then we actually begin to live off these images. Like some of the common misconceptions is that a man can make a baby. That won't make you a man. Or a man can do whatever he wants to do. A man can get any woman he wants. I'm a man when I'm 18 years old. Or I'm a man because I can drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes. A man can stay out to whatever time he might want to. A man doesn't have to listen to anyone. See, these are stereotypes, but this is what's pushed in this was pushed in the culture. It's pushed on television. It's pushed in movies, and people think it's a reality that a man will not listen to anything that a woman has to say. A real man sleeps with as many women as possible, and a real man never cries about anything. And then society profits and benefits because then we go out and portray that when a real man acknowledges that there is a God who's greater than himself, a supreme being, a Godhead, a deity, divine mind, a creator, oneness, perfect peace, infinite wisdom, or something. But see, that's not what's being taught, so they miss it. Like a fool can make a baby, but a man will take care of, raise, support, and educate his progeny. While a man realizes he's free to do whatever he chooses, he acknowledges he's not free from the consequences of those choices. But it's just a lot of these misconceptions that we've been taught about being a man, which is pure maleness, and it has nothing to do with manhood.
A lot of misconceptions, brother, and it's right on point because everything that you're saying is true. The average child that may come into that age of 18, even 21, have thought they done elevated to manhood, and now they can control their destiny in a way where now you can tell mama or daddy, I don't need you, and turn right around and need mama and daddy.
Exactly. I don't need you, but I need you to buy my groceries.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot of misconceptions. I would say, I don't know if society itself confuses it, but I believe we do in our community, our culture. We talk about it all the time that a man should raise a man. Yeah. But if a man you are seeking guidance from hasn't transitioned into a man, how then can you raise one to become a man? You can't. So that's been a huge challenge in our culture because we have been taught the perceptions of what a man is, provide and protect.
Yep.
That's it.
Stop. Nurturing
and having that feminine, what is it? Feminine. I can't even say the word. Having that feminine side of you is very, very important. It's not to say that you should act in a certain way like that, but you should have those characteristics. Yes. And that's what really grounds you, in my opinion, as a man and becoming a man. And that's the part I think we have a challenge, trying to incorporate into our character as men.
Yeah, caring, the compassion, understanding.
We have to have all of those type of things. Like a man don't cry, like you said. Come on, you got to cry. You have to let it out sometimes, because if you don't, now you do things that most of our men do in our community. We'll hold it in and we take it out on the woman. We'll hold it in and take it out on the child.
Emotional trauma. And now you become abusive.
Right.
And you're not even conscious that you're abusive.
Right.
Because you think that it's normal.
Right. Brothers, right on point. We got anybody want to chime in that's coming in from YouTube, Facebook? Okay. Just want to make sure. I don't want to miss nobody comments. We're going to go over to the next question here. Who shaped your early understanding of what it meant to be a man? You want to take this first?
Well, for me, my early understanding was my uncles and the qualities that they exhibited was purely male.
Mm.
So in my mind, all I had to do was the opposite of that. And since I had such intimate understanding of their character from being around them so much because they lived with me, this is what was able to tell me that I shouldn't do. A lot of the stigmas that the brother just spoke about was espoused daily. These are the traits that make you a man. But however, when you compared it to their individual lifestyle, you seen that those qualities were not being portrayed for the betterment of themselves as well as their children. And it turned into abusiveness because of the promiscuity with these women. What mindset did you leave these women in? So that's who shaped me and allowed me to understand that there's certain qualities that are being paraded around as a man, but it's only a male. So don't begin to exhibit those traits in your actions. Do the opposite.
Yes, sir. Minister?
Yeah, no, and I know for me, it's like my earliest, of course, like my father, he was in the home. And I'm very thankful for that, don't get me wrong. But he put in a strong behind providing and protecting. He believed in working. He believed in taking care of the household. But it was all from a male perspective. But the conversations about understanding and compassion. He was big on being strong, but it was times when you needed to be more vulnerable. See, he wasn't, and I've learned this. See, he wasn't taught that. See, from his generation, he was the provider, he was the protector, and he thought that's all that he needed. So a lot of the things were lacking. And even though I had a father at home, I think that's a blessing, because if it wasn't, I would probably have been either dead or in prison. I would definitely say that. But a lot of the things I had to learn on my own in the streets, it's like it would have been much better to be able to have those conversations about becoming a man at home without having to learn them the hard way on the streets. And many of you all probably, them can be some very expensive lessons. Expensive, they can be painful, they can sometimes be deadly. See, that's where you have to be, but not having that, like I'm gonna call it the full pie. Like a man should be compassionate. Fortunately, I did have a mother, but it's like it would be different to get it from a man.
Yeah.
Because you just don't, because it was taught that that's what women do.
Yeah.
But this is what men do.
Right.
And there was no crossing between it.
Right.
But there's a whole lot of overlap that we miss. And then we as men have to be able to give that to our sons so they can become like well-rounded.
Indeed, yes, sir. I tell you, I mean, I get the mother-father thing. I think that's very important, that we have those parts. But what if you're a single father, you're a single mother? You need both of those components because that child needs to be full-rounded. Even if the child don't get that, he only get one part of it. Because remember, if it's a male child, he's trying to exemplify his father, and he may not get married. So if he only know one side of being a parent, then he's handicapped because now he don't know the other side, and that don't make him a full man in that aspect of how now you raise a son into become a man, and you're not fully rounded as a man yourself. Um, One of the things, like, if I talk about like my early childhood coming up, one of my friends, his dad, hardworking man, me coming up, it's very rare. The father's in the household. My mother, single parent, she had 7 children, but me and my brother was left in the household at that time. We grew up in Callahan right there. And remember the dirt roads back, and remember
downtown.
Yeah. You remember the old Jones side?
Yep.
The old building. I remember all that stuff. But one of my friends, he had his dad and his mom in the household. And his dad worked a 9 to 5. Come home, his mother cooked. They sat at the table and they ate dinner. Like, that was like that wasn't normal. You see this type of stuff on TV. So seeing him like where he was at that time, that was something that now when I reflect back, I said, man, that was good. He was doing his part as being the male based off of having the female and the male in the household together. He was doing his part. And that's a notion of what a man should do, and that's his responsibility to his family. But as I grew up, and like we talking about it today, we understand that it's more to just that. There's another part to that. And one of the things the most honorable Yahweh taught me, that man equates to mind. And your first step into becoming a man is understanding who you are, and your responsibility in life. You have to know who you are and your responsibility in life. So in my opinion, there's layers when it comes to being a real man. But we talked about that. You said male, you said man, and then you said real man. I said, man, there's layers to this thing.
Yep.
And that's real. You want to say something?
See, here, like I was fortunate because I was able to see a lot. Like, I come from a big family. I had 5 sisters. Okay? They were all first. Me and my brother, it was 7 of us. Me and my brother were the youngest. So I grew up in a household with a bunch of sisters, women, that female energy. Fortunately, I had that, and you need it. But it's kind of like you get mixed messages when the dad will say, this is what he expects from the girls, but it's a different expectation for the boy. Like, the conversation was the only thing, don't get a girl pregnant. Okay, but we didn't have conversations about how to treat women. Because if I go by the example that I see to you, you want the young men to treat your daughters differently than you would treat women. So it's confusing.
Yeah.
That's very confusing. And then when you get like back, you grew up in the days when pimps and pushers, that was a cool thing. So all the men, you want to be pimps, pushers, and players.
Right.
Oh, but what are you teaching your daughter? So what kind of men do you want your daughter? You want your daughters to be with pimps, pushers, and players. That's a confusing. See, like in this day and this age, it's like what? Like there's a dip. Like you can become a man when you become of age because, like, hey, you got to go to school. If you ain't going to school, you better get a job. You ain't getting a job, you better go to the military. You're a man. But have you been taught to be a real man? Right. Was anybody talking to you before you got out of high school about how to balance the budget? See, I never had conversations with my parents about paying the mortgage, paying the light bill. I would go to the store to pick groceries, but we never had a conversation about what that costs. How much, what it take to put that gas in that tank. We didn't have those conversations. I didn't find that out till I was grown. And now it's like, oh, I got to come up with some money to put gas in my tank. I got to have money to put grocery in my car. I mean, put groceries in the refrigerator. Those are very important topics to talk about. Manhood. Because being a male, you can have a male, you can go get a job. But if I see y'all at the club spending money on drinks and partying, that's a mixed message.
Right.
That message says that's what I'm supposed to do on Friday and Saturday. I'm supposed to go out and party hardy, go pray about it on Sunday, go to work on Monday through Thursday, and on Friday, it's the vicious circle. See, the society pushes that because then they profit and they benefit from it. But we're not sitting home, like you're saying, around that dinner table, having those conversations.
No, that's real. That goes back to what Brother Ezekiel was saying when it comes to like a male reacts and just go out and do whatever. Don't even think about it. But a man thinks about it because you would know that you have a car note, insurance, etc. You won't be at the club trying to throw money up in the air. You make sure that you're responsible enough to know, like, hey, make sure I got my car note and my insurance paid before I go to this club trying to hang out with my homeboys smoking,
Exactly.
weed. So I mean, that's and that's what we're talking about. The difference between a man, but we also talking about a real man. And I like that because we're bringing something else putting something else on the table so that we can get a clear understanding when it comes to being a man. All right, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to we've been talking about it, but responsibility and maturity. What role does responsibility play in transitioning from, let's say, boyhood to manhood? Who want to take this first?
Well, he just highlighted that.
Right.
When you're in your youth or when you're in boyhood, about to make that leap into manhood, you have to know how to have the domestic laws in play. Meaning, I know how to create a budget to run my household. I know how to have my finances on a weekly and a monthly basis to cover all my bills. I know how to treat the woman that I'm gonna have in my life. I know how to save for emergencies because life throws curveballs at us. You may end up with a job that, due to the rainy season, you don't get your 40 hours of work. So how do you compensate for the money that you lost? And this is where the emergency fund comes in at. Just like with the government, they already allow a certain portion of the gross national product of America to be allocated to FEMA. So if a disaster hits a particular area in the country, they already got the funds to go give relief to that particular area. So as a man, you got to have that for your own personal life. So responsibility is a must. That's what separates men from males. Remember, a male has a dependent mentality. He's looking for somebody else to take care of all of his needs. Whereas a real man will go out and understand what his needs are, understand what his wants are, and prioritize that so all of his needs are met first, to make sure he has the car to get back forth to work to make sure that he has a roof over his head and food in his belly. So responsibility is the key, and that's something that needs to be instilled into the males at a very young age. So you don't all of a sudden become an adult and realize, oh, I need to be doing all these things that you're not prepared for. And this is where, people begin to get in debt. This is where the struggle begins to take hold, and that what leads to you doing some unsavory things to try to get the income to balance your daily living expenses.
All right. All right. Minister, you want to?
Yeah, I think and responsibility plays a big portion, and it should. I know for a lot, like getting a family, like children, a wife or a significant other. You in the taxes, you understand it when they say dependent.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a child, they are truly dependent
Mm-hmm.
upon you for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take that responsibility, you realize, like a man, you have to stop being selfish and become selfless
Yes.
because now you have to give of yourself because you have someone or others who are dependent upon you. So that responsibility can definitely play a role in making you become a man because you realize it's not only about me anymore. I have a responsibility to others.
No, that's real. One of the scriptures I share with my sons is 1 Corinthians 13:11. It says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I expected as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Transitioning from boyhood to manhood requires you to put away childish things. What are some of those childish things? Everything that we're talking about today are those childish things. But in our culture, if you will, because many of us haven't grown into manhood, the female is stuck with raising a male, thinking that she's raising a man. And even in a household where there is a man, the ability to raise a boy into a man is sometimes hindered by the woman, or should I say, female, because we're talking about maleness, but then there's femaleness as well. So if you got a real man in the household and you got a female that hasn't risen into that woman mindset, then that can hinder that man from raising that boy into a real man. So that has to be something that we consider as well. So for my females, you also have to be able to understand or become conscious of your actions as well. If you're in a household with one that you may consider a man, and we give you all the definition to a male, and you can determine which one it is. We know what a male at this point, based off our conversation, we kind of get a gist of what a male is. Male is someone that's irresponsible. Irresponsible. Don't think about anyone else outside of himself first. But when you have a man that thinks about the family, put the family first, put responsibility first, we understand that this is a definition of a man, a real man, in fact, and we can't hinder that real man from raising that boy into a man. So from a female standpoint, we just have to understand that as well. I don't know if you brothers want to chime in a little bit on that.
No, that's a great point that you make, and it had to be pointed out because we talk about manhood versus maleness, but that also, like the single parent homes, especially, we have a lot of women trying to raise a man. That's a challenge because you got some great mothers out there who have to wear both hats,
Yeah.
but they're not a man,
Right.
so they got a challenge. That's like I can't explain to a woman or daughter about her coming into her womanhood.
Right.
I can buy her what she needs. I can talk to her, but to truly understand that portion, they really need to be there with a woman. Man, we can talk about it, but to say we get it, we don't get it. And just what I'm saying with women, yes, you got some great women doing what they have to do, but being a man, they don't get it to a degree.
Right.
And the trouble is you have males having babies with females, and now they trying to raise children. And that's where you can get into it. Now you have a male who's not being there for a child, and then you got a female who's not being there for us. So now that's why you have children in some cases being forced to being raised on their own. Yeah, somebody is there, but if you got a male and a female, if you don't have a man and a woman, that child has some real challenges. Right. And that's what we up against.
That's when social media raised them.
Yes.
Social media and everything
and the streets
else outside.
and the world.
And that's a recipe for disaster.
Correct. You look at if you're a man and you meet a woman that's already a single parent, and you're bringing your mentality to the table. And since she's a female, then your way of thinking clashes and is the opposite of what she's been taught. So now you have the tension, you have the struggle for the child's mind. And this leads to the frustration and the disappointment in the parents' union because they can't see eye to eye on what is the best course of action for the development of the male child. So she's operating out of a system that for her has worked from the generations that she was raised in. And he has a different perspective of that right there. And just for example, he brings a particular diet to the table, but it's opposed to what she's been feeding the children. So they're clashing off of that. And if she's a female, she's not going to sit to listen to reason. She's not going to do research as to why he's saying the child shouldn't eat this or drink this particular product. She's gonna say, well, he been having it, I've been drinking it, my family been drinking it for centuries, so ain't nothing wrong with it. And this is the problem. So even if he is a man, if he links up with a female, there's going to be issues. And this is why, Amos told us two can't walk together unless they be agreed. So our culture has set up a real imbalance, being that more of our women are raising male children. And as y'all said, that male doesn't have a man's or real man's image to try to emulate because society is not pushing the real mentality of a man in the media, in the music, or in Hollywood. And it's leading to the decimation of real men being brought forth to the world. So the next generation, if it's raising nothing but males, then if the children are our future is extremely bleak because of the mindset that the youth have now.
Yes, sir.
And that's why they got that prisoner pipeline. That's not a joke.
That's it. That's real. It's real.
Pipeline. What is
the public schools to prison pipeline?
Pipeline. That's real. That's real because it's a for-profit industry, and who are they feeding it with? Yeah. Our children. Yes. They're feeding it with our children.
I'm dealing with that right now with one of my grandsons. I say, I never would see the reality of this system hit me right in the face. We talk about it all the time, but when it comes home and knocks at your door, it's like, okay, you laugh first, they brought this to me. So now I got to address it.
Yeah.
So that people can understand, like, no, this not gonna happen. See, you do this with in our culture because, and I had to do the stats on this here. When it comes to the public school system, it's 23% African American in the public school system. Okay. When it comes to like the positive pathway, they're talking about the positive pathway school, it's 50% of African Americans there. Now they have a system in place. Like when you violate some of their codes of conducts, and I'm talking about Orange County right now. I'm pretty sure all the systems in are probably similar to this here. When you violate those codes of conduct and they put you at a level 4, there's about 4 or 5 steps that they can take. But the first step they take is putting a child into the positive pathway. Now we know with positive pathway, that's that school to prison pipeline, because most children go there are misbehaved children, troubled children that have went through some serious stuff, may have juvenile on a path to, already on the path to prison. So if you bring in a child over there that may not be the typical child for that type of environment, you can corrupt that child. Mm-hmm. And now the prisons that you're building right now, you already identified, this number of children that's going to go into this prison system. That's why you're building these prison systems. Exactly. And that's why you got this system in place that's contributing to that. But it's something I'll tell you about it later. But I mean, that's another show. But
the system is not designed to put them in the normal function. It's designed for them to continue that way and fill up the prisons.
there
That's
you
what
go.
it's designed for.
There you go. They keep them that way. It's not, yeah. You hit it the nail right on the head, my brother. But it's one of those things that's MOP though that we try to highlight.
Right.
You know, so it's very important that we understand that our children are being attacked, especially with our single mother parents. That's why we need a man.
Yes.
Right. That's why we have to become men, brother, so that we understand this, so we don't allow that to happen, especially in our community and with our single parent mothers. Because believe it or not, all of them are children at the end of the day. All of my children. That's why we pour into the community. But we're going to go on to the next question here because we're coming up on time. Can someone be considered a man without stepping into responsibility? I know this is a quick answer, but you can say you want to. Oh, go ahead, Minister. You go first.
Cannot until you step into responsibility. You're missing a vital key of man.
Yes, sir.
Keep it quick.
That's a nutshell. Absolutely not. Man equals responsibility. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, and that's to the point. Like if we talk about males and having a baby, how can you bring a child into this world and not take care of the child?
Yeah.
How you bring a child into this world and want to not take the responsibility of making sure that child eats, of not take the responsibility of making sure that child has diapers, or making sure that child has a roof over his or her head. Like, does that even make
in society? You hear it. You have males come up with every excuse in the book to say that, but you created that child. Now, why is her responsibility? And then by extension, if she has to go to the system to get support, oh, you got the system coming after me. They're talking about child support. Well, guess what? When the system becomes their father, that's a whole nother. It's like, because you're not there,
right?
What alternative is there? Or it becomes, see, when a village took responsibility, we had it, but that concept is gone. But you making excuses about the baby that you made.
Right.
That baby got your DNA.
Right.
You ain't got to do no blood test. That's your baby.
You know this. Unequivocally, you know this.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about it, because I have guys, I used to have guys come to me saying, can I write off my child support? I said, hold up, brother. How do you write off child support? That's you taking care of your child. Technically, you should be just getting your child and taking care of your child. But you I ain't gonna say you're allowed, but because of your neglect, it caused her to go through a process, a system to get you to do what you should have been doing in the first place. So no, you can't write that off. Why would you be able to write off child support when you're taking care of your child?
Or if she walked the street and become a hoe, that'll be okay. That will be okay.
Right.
Or if she go rob somebody, or she need to go out there and start slinging it. So what are we saying?
Right.
She didn't make that thing. She trapped me. She didn't make that baby by herself. Right. It takes male DNA to create a baby.
Right.
It takes two.
Right. And you was thinking with your little head instead
Bingo.
of your big head.
And now you want to see that's a man. You're free to do that, but a man knows there's consequence, there's responsibility that comes with that.
Right. You got to think. That's what the brother said in the beginning. A male reacts. You don't think. A man think.
Yep. That baby coming one way or the other.
Right. You might miss this time. Next time gonna be it. All right. I think we have one more question before we go to a commercial break, and we're gonna get into the next part of our show where we're gonna talk about our trade show. All right. So how do you see manhood expressed or lacking in today's culture?
It's definitely lacking because, as I said, manhood is not being expressed in this culture. maleness is being expressed.
Mm.
We look on TV, it's the celebrities that are being promoted, that are being put in the forefront. And most of those celebrities are either sports, entertainment, musicians. So you look at what type of role models are they? What are they promoting? If I'm a rapper, what is my message? Is my message uplifting the community? Is it uplifting women? Is it espousing that men need to take care of their responsibilities, meaning their children? Or is it the exact opposite? Do the movies promote that?
Mm.
Or are the movies promoting, being a player, being somebody that doesn't have any responsibilities? So society is promoting maleness to the highest degree. And as you said, when you're looking at these single mother homes, these mothers are doing whatever is necessary to survive. So who are the male children looking toward as mentors, as somebody who they will pattern their lives after? It's not in the house. So they're going outside the house to look for these role models. And if the media is pushing role models that are into the sports or entertainment industry, then this is what that child is going to gravitate toward and want to become. So it goes back to when we were saying that the males spend an inordinate amount of time developing their physical prowess, developing their physical talents, as opposed to their mental. So you don't see manhood expressed. You ask the average youth, what is a man? And you're going to get so many different responses according to where they live at and who's in their immediate circle. So there's been no standard, meaning there's been no qualities or characteristics that are laid out saying if you have these particular traits in your actions, now you are a man. If the youth get that right there, then they'll have something to work toward. And as you said, everything in this society is created through a system. And once that system has been implemented and turns on its axis, it's going to continue to do what it was created to do. So in our culture, we need a system that promotes manhood, starting in our households, communities, and expanding into becomes international. Because right now, only maleness is getting that type of attention. And this is why our youth is going down that path. They're saying this generation is the most unruly and undisciplined generation in history. And again, it's because what are they being fed? The diet that they're being fed is strictly maleness, not manhood.
Right. Do we have a comment coming in?
We do have a comment, and it's the question is, and it came in online. It says, how do we put the emphasis back on hard work and giving them skills on how to work with their hands, carpentry, etc.? And that's we finna get into that right into the next segment. So hold on, because that's gonna be the main topic of the next segment. But I will say real quick, when we talk about culture, what is unfortunately now, when we talk about culture, we need to understand what culture is, because right now, when you hear culture, what the culture that's being portrayed when it comes to Black people is strictly entertainment, hip hop, and that industry. That's supposed to be our entire culture. That's what our culture is. And I'm not taking it from those who are out there in the entertainment industry. If you're making money and building the businesses, that's great. But that is such a small fraction numerically of who we are, but it's been pushed as if that's our entire culture. So you have everyone aspiring to that. And a lot of that's based on profitability, and a lot of it's not reality. It's about entertainment. That's like, you can turn a television off. That's not real. That's it. When you turn television off, you got to go look in the refrigerator. You got to turn the lights on.
Right.
That's great for entertainment, but we have to have more than entertainment. So we don't really understand what culture is, because our culture is music and hip hop. If that's all we is as a people, we're lacking. Culture is supposed to be raising the children to manhood, from a boyhood to a man, from a girl to a woman, and that part of our culture is missing.
I like that. You really highlighted something right there. Because that's kind of going back to what we're talking about. The first thing we're trying to put our child into sports. Basketball, football. And we make that a part of. We put a lot of energy and effort into that. And I think on one of the shows I talked about only 1.2% of NCAA basketball or football players would make it to that professional level, and that's like 1 out of every 100. So it's like we put,
and that's the ones through the NCAA. That ain't high school,
right?
I want you to see.
Oh, you're right about that.
That number that's astronomical,
right?
When you do that.
You're right about that. That was just on that level, but understanding that we should be able to then now home in on what's more important. What's more important, and we're gonna be talking about that next when we talk about entrepreneurship and what the comment that came in as well. But one of the things, and we're talking about it right now as far as lacking. And when I was just thinking about this here, I was thinking about a woman, the definition of a woman and the true characteristics of a woman. And one of them is emotional intelligence. And I think as a man, we do have to become emotional intelligent. I think as a people, we have to become emotional intelligent. But I definitely think as a man, because one of the things you mentioned, like, we don't cry. We don't cry. We'll hold all these emotions in, and we'll let them out in ways that we can't control. And that leads us to either prison or whatever the case may be that's negative, from a negative connotation. And we have to understand that. And that's what's destroying our community. And that's why we can't identify ourselves in this system when it comes to a culture, because we have allowed our culture to kind of just run rapid, because we only focus on entertainment and how we can entertain one another, football, basketball, dancing on, music, etc. So yeah, we have to get back to that. We're going to have another part to this here, and I want our listener audience to know that part 2 is coming up, because there's a lot that we still need to talk about when it comes to maleness versus manhood. But we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about our trade show coming up. I'm so excited about that.
And we're going to answer that question.
Yes.
Don't go nowhere. We're going to answer that question, because that is definitely going to get answered.
Yes. All right. Going to a quick commercial break. Man of Purpose, in collaboration with Builders of the Highway Foundation, is proud to present the 2nd annual Trade Expo Fair, going down Saturday, October the 25th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 1104 South Central Ave in Apopka, Florida. Enjoy food, giveaways, and a chance to meet local employers, training programs, and fellow change makers. Register today at livetalkorl.com. That's livetalkorl.com. RSVP by October the 18th to receive a free entry in our raffle. Let's build futures one connection at a time. We'll see you there. Last year, something amazing happened in Apopka. Students, job seekers, and industry professionals came together for the very first trade and vocational expo fair. It was more than just an event. It was a movement. From hands-on demos and inspiring speakers to great food, community connections, and career building opportunities. The energy was electric and the impact unforgettable. And now we're doing it again. Join us for the 2nd annual Trade Expo Fair, Saturday, October 25th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The location, 1104 South Central Ave, Apopka, Florida. Register today at livetalkorl.com. We'll see you there. All right, welcome back. Hey, Minister, since we had that one comment, you want to read that again?
Yes. The question was, how do we put the emphasis back on hard work and giving them skills and how to work with their hands, carpentry, etc.?
And I'll say this here, and I'll let you brothers kind of chime in. One of the things, even with my boys, and raising them, one of the things I always told them, because we did yard work all the time, and doing yard work, there's a lot of different, skills that you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn how to mow the yard. You're gonna learn how to weed eat. You're gonna learn how to edge. You're gonna learn how to do hedges, because those are the things that need to be done in the yard. So we had tools for this here, and I always told them this here. I said, as long as you have tools in life, you will always have work, because there's always a service for you to do. So you should never go hungry as long as you have some tools. Always keep you some tools. And I said, the other reason you want some tools is because you don't always want the handyman coming to your house.
It's expensive.
Not only expensive, you don't want the handyman around your wife all the time. I always kid with them about that. And it was like, you know what? It seemed like that part really got to him.
You working on the pool boy around your pool.
Right. But on a serious note, it's very important that we instill in our children the importance of workmanship. Being able to go out and use your hands to be able to get a job done. And that's why we're talking about the Trade Expo Fair that's coming up, because our community, I believe, in my opinion, lacks that information and knowledge. And if we did have the information and knowledge, I think parents and those are in position to try to push their youth to doing some of these things would do it more. But the notion is, if you finish school, you go to college, and that's fine. If you go to college, that's great. Hopefully you got something in place, you got a plan in place for you to go to college. And while you're in college, you're thinking about doing some internship somewhere so that you can get a job when you finish college. But what we have seen, from our experience, we have seen our youth go to college, 4 years or whatever, and they get out of college and can't use the degree that they just earned because they don't have the experience. That's the whole thing. They don't have the experience. So now they stuck at McDonald's as a supervisor or a manager at McDonald's, and that's their life for the next 10 years. So I can't speak of it enough when it comes to making sure that our children are taking the right road to success. And I think parents, we have to be able to put them on that path. Even if you didn't take that road to success, try to push it on your youth to take those paths and come out to our trade show event. I'll tell you, that's a start. That's a start to that as well. Minister, you want to?
Oh yes, and that's one of the big reasons that we're pushing the trade show, and that we're passionate about that, because like my brother said, college is a great thing if you do it properly, but college is not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We have to acknowledge that it's not for everyone.
Right.
And if it's for you and you get it, great, but you got to have a direction. Mm-hmm. But what we have seen is that there are a high percentage, especially in our community,
Right,
that go to college, get out, can't find that job doing what they went to school for, or they get a job, but the pay from that job is not enough to offset, in many cases, the large amount of debt that they create with college. And now you get out of college with debt and not be able to get the job. And that's very frustrating, especially when you have a family to take care of and support. And what in our community has been missing, we have not been talking about trades. We've been where that used to be a staple, and it should always be a staple.
right.
Because the guest mentioned about carpentry. That's one of the basic foundations is building. Like every home that you live in, it takes a carpenter. Every office that you work in, it requires carpentry. Not only carpentry, it requires plumbing, electrical, AC, concrete, stucco, roofing, and the list goes on. And those are viable trades. But if we don't push our children, our youth, that means somebody else is going to take those jobs.
Yep.
And then we get left without a job. We get left without an income because not only are those jobs, those are also businesses and industries which we're missing out on because we're not having that conversation.
Right. And it's important to have it. Zeke, you want to chime in on this?
No doubt about that. You cannot exist without these trades. As I said, every building, every house, even the streets are made through trades. So it's imperative that you get a skill set that will be able to feed you as long as you're alive. Because if you look at the mass majority of our youth or the young males in our communities, they are unemployed and they don't have a skill set that can employ them to where they can sustain their basic lifestyle. With the cost of living out here these days, you definitely need some type of trade past the fast food industry that would allow you to survive and just live comfortably, let alone with the youth with the mindset that everybody wants to be rich. You need something that will allow you to become rich. So you need that skill set to offset the school to prison pipeline.
And we did have another comment. It says, as long as you have a trade, you will have a job. This is what my grandma emphasized to me. And that is exactly because if you have a skill and you have a trade, you have something that's in needed. That's what whole economies are based on, goods and services. And a trade is a way of having a service that's needed. And there's no need for the mass amount of our young people, our youth who are unemployed, are looking for jobs, but they don't have trades. And part of our trade show and what we talk about, the beauty is, in a lot of cases with trades, you can get training and it's a lot less expensive than going to college.
Right.
Or you can go through apprenticeships, which oftentimes you get paid while you learn the trade. So it's like on the job training. And it's like, that's like unheard of, but it's a reality. But that don't exist outside of trades in most cases.
Right. And then what you're going to like, because we're going to have resources here at the Trade Expo Fair, which is next Saturday, October the 25th at 10 a.m. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're going to have resources there. And one of the things that I found out, and I didn't know this here, when it came to Orange County Technical, they actually have like a, what is it called? Like they have funds available for, the struggling student that may be going through some challenges, may not be able to, pay the utility bill or something like that, because they're going to school trying to learn a trade so that they can, advance their career. So I didn't know that. And at this trade show event, there's going to be some information shared that you may not know, I heard of, because you may be saying, I can't afford to go to trade school. We know you, if you're saying that, you can't afford to go to college. So you may be saying that, but there are resources in place that can help you. So just come out to the Trade Show Expo. We're going to have some people there that can be able to talk to you about that. If you're truly wanting to change your career, do something different in life, I think this is a step in the right direction. It may not change right then and there, but it's a step in the right direction. It's going to get you the resources you need in order to, advance your life into that next level. And then if you have a youth that's just finished high school, and they've been finished high school for 2 years. They still haven't figured it out as of yet. Maybe working 2 jobs, just trying to get by. But this is a way that they can probably get into a trade or a career that they don't have to work 2 jobs no more.
Right.
One income may supplement those 2 jobs that they're working right now and put them in a better position to become a homeowner. So this is how we should be thinking as a community. How we can get out of this rut that we've been in, right? As far as youth in our community, a lot of them are selling drugs.
Mhm.
When I found out, brother, I was selling drugs, I found out that I wasn't making but at one point in time about $20,000-$30,000 a year. I said, man, I could have went and got me a job. And I didn't have to worry about looking behind my back, trying to figure out who was going to hit me across the head or when the police were going to come and get me.
Yep.
A lot of our youth are out there throwing bricks at the penitentiary, not really making no money.
Mhm.
And if we can encourage them to pick up a level or a trial or, become an apprentice to an electrician or, a plumber, I guarantee it's going to change their life. The income that they're going to see at one time is going to change how they think about life moving forward. And I believe I can guarantee that, but one of the things we talking about trades, but one of the things, W.E.B. Du Bois that kind of stands out to me when we're talking about it. It's one thing to have a trade and a skill. It's another thing to have the mentality. Because as you get that trade and that skill and you start to make this money, what are you going to do with it? So that's another part of why it's important to come out to our trade expo fair, because we want to talk about that. It's once you get this money, how are you going to pay it forward? How are you going to do something for the next child? So these are the things that we want to talk about. This is what we want to highlight moving forward. We want to make this a big part of our career awareness time. We do this annually, and I just believe it's going to be a success to our children, our youth, and our community. And we are anything else, my brother?
Real quick point, I want to put this one in because when I talk about the Bible, I always like to point out that the Bible has many different ways, but it has a spiritual, but it also has a physical context. So you can read it, but it's a spiritual and a physical at the same time. And if you believe in Christ, he was a savior. He was building the kingdom. Okay, he's a savior. But what people forget and don't understand, Christ was a carpenter. He was a builder. He actually put his hand to the plow, and he was able to take nothing and make something. He could do that physically with it. He was a carpenter, meaning he could put on his tools and he could build a house where he lived. Why do you think he was able to build the kingdom of his father? Because he was showing you have to have a skill and a craft and a trade. He didn't just talk. He didn't talk the talk. He walked the walk. You say you believe in Christ. He was why was he a master builder? Because he literally was a master builder. And a lot of people miss that point. He didn't just pray. He didn't just heal the sick. He was a builder. And he was a master builder.
Absolutely. Great point, my brother. You can see you want to chime in, last.
As he said, in order to build, you got to have the necessary tools. So the youth, as they're growing up, they want a house, they want cars, they want the materialism of life. So you have to have a skill set that will allow you to acquire that right there.
And it seemed like, when we look back here in this country, when it came to trades, we have always been hands-on we engineered really this country.
Yes.
You know, we built this here, and we would hand that down to our sons, you know, our daughters, our nephews, etc. This didn't take a school for this to happen. But what they did was they took it and put it into like an institution. Now they getting paid for it now.
Taking
You know,
credit for it.
They're taking credit for it.
Taking credit for our skills.
Right. So we just have to get back to that and understand the importance of that. But we'll get ready to close out. I hear the music. You want to close out first, last word, Ezekiel?
Yes. Everybody, you know, understand the role between a male and a man. Single mothers begin to take on the qualities of a man being instilled in your children that you want them to have. And make sure, as part of that manhood, get the physical trade at a young age so he'll always have a way to feed himself.
Awesome.
Hey, it's time to stop being males. Let's be real men and come out and see us next week at trade show, our second annual trade show. It will be phenomenal.
Yes, sir. And I'll leave you with this here. And this Psalms 37:23. The steps of a good man are ordered by Yahweh, and he delighteth in his way. So again, I echo what my brother said. We'll see you next weekend at the Trade Expo Fair in Apopka, Florida. Stay tuned to Live Talk. You can go to our social media pages, Men of Purpose on YouTube, Men of Purpose on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Live Talk, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and you get all the information and content. We'll see you then. From the host, I like to say peace and prosperity. And from Live Talk, we are out. Thank you for watching Live Talk. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Talk Orlando. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit on the notification button so that you can see more videos like this. You want to join the show? Email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com. You can also follow the host on Facebook and Instagram at Arthur Jeremiah. And visit the website, thenoystore.com, to pick up your copy of The Spiritual Significance of a Name.